Have you ever met someone who never takes a vacation? While most people count down the days to travel, relax, or simply sleep in, these people seem stuck in an invisible gear, working without a break, as if the world would collapse if they stopped for a week. At first glance, it may seem like extreme dedication, enviable productivity, or even a kind of professional superpower. But is that all? Or could it be that, behind this resistance to disconnecting, there is something deeper, something that even they themselves cannot name? First of all, it's important to say, there's nothing wrong with loving what you do. Some truly feel fulfilled at work, as if each project is a piece of a puzzle that only they can complete. For these people, vacation can feel like a forced interruption, an artificial hiatus in a routine that actually feeds them. And it's okay. The problem is not liking what you do. This is when the act of stopping turns into a threat. When the body asks for rest, but the mind screams that it's not time. When the calendar marks vacation, but your heart races as if it were a deadline. So why does this happen? Why are some people afraid to quit? The answer is not simple, because the reasons are as diverse as the people who carry them. Perhaps, at some point in their lives, they learned that stopping is dangerous. Maybe they grew up hearing that time is money or that he who rests, loses. The brain internalizes this: if I stop, I will be left behind. If I stop, I will be forgotten. If I stop, everything will fall apart. And so, rest becomes a luxury they can't afford, not because they don't have a right to it, but because something inside them whispers that they don't deserve it. Another possibility is that work has become a shield. For those who have felt the weight of loneliness, anxiety, or even past traumas, the professional routine can be a safe haven. Tasks are predictable, results are measurable, and as long as they are busy, they don't have to face the silence of their own thoughts. Vacation, in this case, is not an invitation to relaxation, but a mirror that reflects everything you are avoiding. And who wants to look in the mirror when they know they're going to find dark circles, doubts, and a little voice asking, "What now? What do I do with myself?" There are also those who confuse personal value with productivity. In a society that glorifies hustle culture, where sleeping 4 hours a night becomes a trophy and burnout is synonymous with success, it is easy to believe that we are only valid when we are producing. For these people, taking a vacation isn't just a break, it is a threat to identity. If I'm not working, who am I? This question haunts, and the answer is often frighteningly vague. So, they move on, as if every email answered, every meeting scheduled, every extra hour was proof that they deserve to exist. But here's the irony: those who need vacations most are precisely those who resist them the most. The body is not a machine, and the mind is not a computer. Even the best-oiled gears need maintenance. The question isn't if you'll burn out, it's when. And when that happens, it won't be for lack of warning. It will be because, at some point, you ignored all the signs: the pain in your back, the irritation for no reason, the feeling that you are running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. Perhaps the real fear is not of the holidays themselves, but of what they reveal. Because stopping is allowing yourself to feel. It's facing the list of dormant dreams, neglected relationships, passions abandoned in the name of responsibility. It's looking back and realizing that, while you were running, life was following its pace, with or without you. And this awareness hurts. It hurts because it requires courage. The courage to admit that, sometimes, we use work as a crutch, as an excuse, as a way of not facing what really matters. But what if vacation isn't a punishment, but an invitation? An invitation to rediscover who you are when no one is looking. To remember that life is not just a sequence of deadlines, but also of leisurely coffees, laughs for no reason, and the luxury of doing nothing. That you are no less important when you are resting. In fact, it is when you are most whole. Because a person who knows how to stop is a person who knows how to live, not just survive. If you recognized yourself in this text, no, you are not a workaholic. You are human. And humans were not made to function without pause. Maybe you learned that stopping is weakness, but real weakness is letting fear control your life. The strength is in recognizing that you deserve rest, not as a reward, but as a basic right. So how about some exercise? Close your eyes and imagine, what would you do if, for a week, no one expected anything from you? It's not about traveling to an exotic place or posting photos on Instagram. It's about allowing yourself to exist without justification. It could be reading a book, cooking leisurely, or simply lying down and watching the ceiling. What matters is breaking the spell that says you are only worth what you are doing. Because at the end of the day, vacation isn't about where you go, it's about who you allow yourself to be when you finally stop. And that, my friend, is the most important journey you can take. If this text resonated with you, comment here, what stops you from taking a vacation? And if you know someone who needs to read this, please share. Sometimes a little push is all it takes for someone to finally breathe. Oh, and if you want more reflections like this, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. Until next time, and may your vacation, when it arrives, be as restorative as you deserve. Herb. The silence that speaks, when fatigue becomes its own language. Have you ever noticed how some people carry tiredness like a second name? Not that physical tiredness, from a bad night's sleep, but an existential exhaustion, as if every cell in the body whispered, enough. While the world screams productivity, they respond with an elastic silence, which stretches between resignation and revolt. And no, it's not laziness. Laziness is not wanting to move, tiredness is not being able to do it anymore. It's the difference between a car without gas and a car with a blown engine. One, you fill the tank. The other requires you to stop, step down and look under the hood of the soul. The anatomy of invisible burnout. This fatigue does not come from doing too much. It comes from being too much. To be the pillar that everyone supports, but no one asks if they also need support. The filter that smooths fights, solves problems, remembers dates until you forget yourself. The mirror that reflects the light of others, while your own flame flickers, about to go out. And the worst. Nobody teaches you how to name this exhaustion. We learn to say I'm stressed or I'm out of time, but not my body is on strike because my soul resigned months ago. Because how can you explain that sometimes the heaviest thing you carry is the expectation of being tireless? The myth of willpower, or why you're not a robot. Society loves phrases like who wants it, does it, or it's just a matter of priorities. But what about when what you want is to stop? When the priority is not to have priorities, even if just for an afternoon? Here comes the guilt. Why can't I do it like the others? The answer. Because you are not the others. Some bodies are made for marathons, others, for strategic breaks. Some brains are power plants, others, gardens that need winter to bloom in spring. And guess what? There is no shame in being a garden. What your fatigue is trying to tell you, and you're ignoring. Your body is not your enemy. It's an advanced warning system, and when fatigue persists, it's because something is wrong in the source code of your life. Maybe. Easy B. 1. The automatic yes. You say yes for fear of disappointing, but every yes for others is a no for you. How many no's have you swallowed this week? 2. The almost there trap. When I finish this project, when I lose those pounds, when I. Life is not a college entrance exam, there is no finish line where everything finally begins. 3. The ghost of productive guilt. That thought, if I'm not doing something useful, I don't deserve to rest. Breaking news, you are not a machine. Machines burn. People, too. 4. The loneliness of I have to manage it alone. Asking for help is not weakness, it is the courage to admit that you are human. And humans were not made to carry the world on their shoulders. Rest as an act of rebellion. In a culture that glorifies burnout, stopping is revolutionary. It's no wonder that the most tired people I know are also the most creative, sensitive, and profound. They feel the weight of the world with an intensity that others cannot. And that's tiring. But here's the bombshell truth. You don't need to justify existing in slow mode. You don't need a doctor's note, a crisis, or a breakdown to give yourself permission to breathe. A radical, unnecessary exercise. Take a piece of paper and write. Today, I give myself permission to fill with things that don't require productivity. Lie on the floor and look at the ceiling. Take a long shower without rushing. Eat something that is not healthy but that feeds your soul. Do not respond to messages. Yes, the world will not end. Now, do at least one of these things today. Not tomorrow. Not whenever. Today. What happens when you stop fighting yourself? When you stop forcing yourself to be someone you're not, something magical happens. Fatigue stops being a burden and becomes a lighthouse. He points out what needs to change. Guilt loses strength, because you understand that resting is not cheating, it's strategy. You rediscover the pleasure of little things, the smell of coffee, the sound of rain, the feeling of not having to be anything for a moment. And, most importantly, you recognize yourself again. Because when we live in survival mode, we forget who we are beneath all the layers of duties. A letter to you, who needs to hear this now. You're not broken. You're saturated with giving. And that's not failure, it's proof that you've been giving too much, for too long, without replenishing. The world will keep spinning if you take an afternoon off. The people who matter won't judge you for needing to rest. What if they judge? That's their problem, not yours. You deserve peace, not just strategic pauses between one battle and another. It deserves to exist without justifications, without productivity spreadsheets, without the voice in your head telling you that you should be doing more. So today, let tiredness be your guide. Listen to what he is saying. And, above all, allow yourself to be human. Not a hero. Not a martyr. Just you, in all your glorious, weary humanity. Now, the most important part. What are you going to do with it? If this text resonated with you, respond. Black Right Arrow, what is the first thing you will do to honor your tiredness today? Comment here, sometimes writing is the first step. If you know someone who needs to read this, share. Sometimes a text is the little push someone needs to finally let go of the burden. And if you want more reflections like this, that make you take a deep breath and remember that you are not alone, activate the bell and subscribe. Because we deserve more voices that remind us, it's okay not to be okay. Until next time. And remember, if today you can only rest, it is already a victorious day. Herb. P.S. If you've made it this far and are still wondering, but what about the things that need to be done? Here's the answer: they can wait. The world was built on the idea that. And rest is a luxury. But the truth. Rest is resistance. And you, my dear, are a revolutionary without even knowing it. What if your fatigue is trying to tell you something you don't want to hear? Have you ever stopped to think that this weight on your back, this mental fog that makes you forget where you left your keys, isn't just fatigue? What if it is, in fact, a language? A code that your body is using to scream what your mind doesn't yet have the courage to admit? Think about it. Tiredness doesn't come alone. It comes loaded with messages. Sometimes it's a crumpled note in your pocket saying, "You're carrying what isn't yours." Other times, it's a flashing billboard: "Stop. Reassess. Change." But we insist on reading these signs as if they were just traffic signs, something to be obeyed without question, not an urgent conversation with our own soul. And here's the inconvenient truth: you know what I'm talking about. That project that sucks your energy like an emotional vampire. The relationship that feels like a chess game where you always come out at a disadvantage. The automatic yes you give when you should, for the first time in your life, say no without guilt. Your tiredness is not an enemy. It's a messenger. And it won't go away until you sign the message receipt. What happens when you ignore the message? Imagine a friend who knocks on your door every night, desperate, trying to tell you that your house is on fire. At first, you pretend not to hear. Then, turn down the TV volume. Until one day the flames reach your bed, and then you realize, the fire has always been there. You just chose not to see. Chronic tiredness is like that. It starts as a whisper, "Maybe I need more rest," turns into a scream, "Why can't I get out of bed?" and, if ignored, turns into a meltdown, physical, emotional, existential. Your body is not broken. He's defending himself. And the question few ask is, from what? From the insane rhythm you imposed on yourself as if you were a machine? From other people's expectations that you internalized as if they were divine laws? The life you are living on autopilot, while the life you want lives only in your dreams at dawn? What if the solution is not to rest, but to disobey? Here's the plot twist: the antidote to tiredness isn't just getting more sleep. It's stopping feeding what exhausts you. And that, my dear, is an act of sacred rebellion. Think of the things that steal your energy as emotional vampires. The meeting that could be an email? Vampire. The WhatsApp group that makes you anxious? Vampire. The voice in your head that says you should be doing more? The worst vampire ever. Now, imagine if you stopped spending time with them. Not all at once, that would be naive. But not one a day. An established limit. A border that you finally dare to defend. Fatigue is not a punishment. It's an invitation. An invitation to heavy checkmark delete what doesn't serve you. Yes, this includes people, habits, and even dreams that are no longer yours. Heavy checkmark redefine success. What if, today, success is just I managed to take a shower and eat something hot? Heavy checkmark relearn to listen not to others, not to social media, but to the voice you've been muffling for years. The 7-day experiment, for anyone reading this and thinking okay, so what? If you've made it this far and are still asking yourself okay, but how do I do this in practice? Here's a challenge without flowers, without cliches, just action. For 7 days, do just one thing. Every time you feel tired, ask, what am I avoiding feeling? It's not about resting. It's about digging. Because tiredness is not the problem. It's the smokescreen. Day 1. Write down 3 things that exhaust you. Without filtering. X. Work, my own demands, pretending I'm fine. Day 2. Choose one of these things and ask, what would happen if I stopped doing this? The answer will surprise you. Day 3. Do the opposite of what this tiredness is asking you to do. X. If you are exhausted from being productive, watch a movie without guilt. Day 4. Talk to someone about it. Speak out loud. Tiredness loses power when it leaves the shadow. Day 5. Eliminate one thing from your must-do list. Yes, today. Not tomorrow. Day 6. Ask, if I had courage, what would I change? Write. Don't think, write. Day 7. Make the smallest change possible. X. Sleeping 30 minutes earlier, saying no to a commitment, buying that book you've been putting off for months. Rule number 1. If you fail, don't give up. Tiredness is a habit. Breaking it is too. The thing nobody tells you about fatigue. Here's the truth that motivational posts don't tell you. You won't wake up one day cured of tiredness. There is no happy ending where you suddenly have infinite energy and everything works out. Victory is not the absence of tiredness. It's the ability to hear what is saying and act on it. Fatigue is not your enemy. He is your most honest ally. He doesn't lie. Don't pretend. Don't say everything will be fine just to calm you down. It screams the truth you're afraid to face. You weren't meant to live like this. What if today, just today, you stopped fighting it and instead listened? Now, the part that will hurt, but needs to be said. If you've read this far and are still waiting for a magic formula, I'm sorry to disappoint, it doesn't exist. There is no tea, there is no meditation, there is no playlist on Spotify that will resolve what is, in the end, a matter of choice. Because persistent tiredness is not a lack of sleep. It's a lack of courage. Courage to disappoint those who expect you to be a machine. Courage to admit that you can't take it anymore. Courage to change, even if it means losing things, or people, along the way. And here's the secret no one tells you. The day you stop fighting fatigue and start using it as a compass, everything changes. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. What are you going to do today? Yes, today. No, tomorrow. This text is not for you to save as a favorite. It is for you to act. Black right arrow, choose one thing, just one, that you will stop doing or start doing today to honor your tiredness. X. I'm going to cancel that appointment that gives me anxiety. I'm going to sleep without feeling guilty. I'm going to call that friend who makes my heart light. Comment here. Not for me. For you. Because writing is the first step to taking power away from what drains you. And if you know someone who has been swimming against the current for too long, share it. Sometimes a person just needs a little push to let go of the rope that is drowning them. Finally, activate the bell and subscribe if you want more reflections that don't treat you like a productivity robot, but like a human being under construction. Because we deserve more voices that remind us, You don't have to destroy yourself to be enough. Until next time. And remember, if today you can only take a deep breath, it's already a revolution. Seedling. P.S. Because we always leave the most important things for the last. If you're reading this and thinking, but what about the bills? What about the responsibilities? What about the world that doesn't stop? Here's the answer. The world won't stop if you rest. But you will. And a world where you no longer exist as you, just as a worn-out, embittered, function-reduced version, is not a world worth keeping spinning. Resting is not selfish. It's survival. Saying no is not weakness. It is wisdom. Changing is not giving up. It's evolving. And if today you do just one thing for yourself, it's more than yesterday. That's no small feat. This is the beginning of everything.